So Oregon ash, it's a pretty poorly studied tree, and there's only a handful of studies that have been conducted on it. But what we do know is that it's one of the only tree species, if not the only tree species, that can grow in these conditions, these real low elevation, wet soil conditions. And that it provides a lot of shade and stream bank stabilization that species need. Species such as fish and amphibians and certain bird species need this architecture in order to hide from predators, in order to escape environmental extremes. And so if we were to remove that Oregon ash, then more than likely it's going to have a negative consequence.
There are a lot of different types of insects and some diseases that do attack Oregon ash, but most of these are secondary. However, we do have an exotic called emerald ash borer, and that one has arrived from Asia. It's been in the US since 2002, and it has not yet been found in Oregon, but it does prefer our Oregon ash. So there have been multiple studies, feeding trials for emerald ash borer. Now, emerald ash borer does attack any species of ash, but it is particularly interested in Oregon ash, and Oregon ash is one of the least resistant to emerald ash borer.
If we lose Oregon ash, we're losing a really unique component to these ecosystems, and these ecosystems are going to get changed. They're going to get altered in a completely different way. One of the only studies done on Oregon ash by a graduate student at Oregon State University showed that removal of Oregon ash is probably going to lead to encroachment by these invasive shrubs. And when we get an increase in exotic plant species, it also is associated with the loss of native biodiversity.
And so wherever emerald ash borer has been found, it has yet to have been eradicated, and a lot of ash has been lost.
It's going to lead to more erosion and channelization of waterways. Because Oregon ash isn't there anymore, its roots aren't stabilizing the soil, these channels are going to get cut, so there's going to be more flooding.
In many cases, biocontrol won't work. In many cases, some of these management things won't work. Sooner or later, we have to admit that this invasive insect or pathogen may kill 99% of our trees.
Collecting the seed now is a hope that we have for future restoration of ash should it be wiped out from emerald ash borer. But we have that luxury now to collect this genetic diversity and retain it for future efforts. So we're very lucky that we have this opportunity to save the species.
Oregon program is very proactive. We're hitting at the beginning stage, so hopefully we'll have the answers to go forward.
And I think the foresight that ODF had was really incredible, and that does not occur a lot in plant pathology.
So right now, Oregon Department of Forestry and a few other agencies are collecting ash seed from across the state in at least 30 different populations and sending them to two separate places, the National Seed Lab under USDA in Fort Collins and the USDA Forest Service Dorena Genetics Center in Cottage Grove, Oregon.
You have to go to various trees across the populations to collect from those individuals and then grow them and then test them and then hope those individuals show some sort of native resistance. And that takes years and years and years. And so doing this before the disease actually gets here, the insect actually gets here, is really going to put us on a strong path to actually be able to fight it.
Our facility here at Dorena Genetic Resource Center, one of the unique ones in the world for doing what we do. We have the facility to handle, let's call it a tree breeding, tree improvement program to develop applied genetic resistance that can actually go back out in the field.
This is an Oregon ash. This is a large, mature Oregon ash tree, 16 to 18 inches in diameter, roughly 120 feet tall, and it's in a mature stand of Oregon ash. It's the only tree that's growing right here in this wetland.
Oregon ash is not a commonly studied tree species, so a lot of the work we're doing is pretty basic and pretty at the beginning stages of understanding a lot more about this species in terms of its reproduction, its viability, how to sow the seed and grow the plants. All these seed are from the same individual tree, and you can see it looks fairly uniform, but whenever you x-ray it, you'll be able to see the differences within the seed. So there's going to be changes in viability, percent fill, insect damage, exit holes, twins, things of that nature. So just because it looks great externally doesn't necessarily mean the seed is going to be healthy.
Some of the seed will immediately go, that is collected, will go into freezer storage for long-term preservation. But what we want to do, some of us here at Dorena and with the U.S. Forest Service, we want to grow some of the seed and put it out in the field and look at the amount of adaptive genetic variation. So this will be, I think, the first genetic study of adaptive variation on an Oregon ash. And then we'll take some of those seedlings and we'll send them back east in 2 years to a colleague to test against emerald ash borer to see the level of resistance.
Places like the Chestnut Foundation out east are trying to get resistant seedlings into the hands of landowners right now, and that pathogen has been with us for almost a century. So being able to do this earlier would potentially be extraordinarily beneficial. And
resistance is rare to these exotics. So, you know, will we get 10% resistance? I doubt it. Maybe we'll get 1%. Okay? Maybe 1/10 of 1%, but that's different than saying there's no resistance. So if you had resistant seed in hand, even before emerald ash borer, you could again be proactive and start putting it out there so you have saplings or trees by the time emerald ash borer got here. The sooner we get to resistance, the better.
We're talking about saving species.